Hello and welcome back to the ME7 Podcast. Tonight we review pre-season as the Gills ended their pre-season campaign ahead of the 2022-2023 season with a 1-0 victory at Roots Hall on Saturday afternoon as big Mikel Mandron welcomed his Gills return with a headed goal. Matt Olsen joins us tonight as Mikel Mandron's biggest fan. I think he proved that when we spoke about him coming back to the club. Also, we also review, obviously the Southend game, and the big season opener is upon us. We are just 5 days away from the season opener as Neil Harris's Gillingham side travel to the Cherry Red Records Stadium on Saturday afternoon to AFC Wimbledon. Yep, they can't keep away from us. They come down with us last season. We nicked Shea Alexander off them. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, we are back for episode 15. Matt, good evening.
Good evening. I'm well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to the new season. Literally 5 days away. Come 3 o'clock. Yeah.
It's all ready to go. It is all ready to go. And it has come around super quick, isn't it? Super quick. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I was at the last game in the season. We all know what happened there. And yeah, to be honest, it feels like that was only a few weeks back. You know, it's amazing how quick the season's come around. But, I'm really looking forward to it. Really happy with a lot of the business we've done. And can't wait to get started. Honestly,
yeah, I know. You mentioned about being the last game of the season. Obviously, we don't want to talk about it too much, but it feels like only yesterday that we were kind of watching that Neil Harris interview after the Sky Sports that he was going to get rid of everybody.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone's gone. Don't want you.
Gone. That's it. I've got rid of you all. You're all gone. And I think he actually ended up keeping half of them. So it only feels like yesterday, doesn't it, that we were being condemned to relegation to League Two.
Yeah, I mean, I as I said, I was lucky enough when I went. Obviously I had some great views. I was in the Medway stand watching the game, and unfortunately, when the final whistle went, yes, obviously a little bit of me deep down inside, my heart breaks. You cry, you let out all your emotions. But in the space of what has it been? 5, 6, 7 weeks? Is it something like that since the season's ended? And
yeah,
that sadness has actually turned into so much hope and joy. And I'm so looking forward to this season coming. Do you know what? Yeah, we may have got relegated from League One into League Two, but we've been in League Two before, and we've been in League One before, and we can get back to the Championships. And who knows, in 10 years' time, we could be winning the Premier League. Obviously, I'm dreaming here, but
you're massively dreaming.
Well, I'm expecting somebody to come in and, or when I win the lottery, when I win it was 190 million or whatever it was the other day. I'm going to buy the club and put all my money into it, and we'll win the Premier League. I can guarantee all Gills fans that.
Cool. We've got to get out of League Two first. Anyway, like I said to you about obviously pre-season. Pre-season is now done. Give us your review and thoughts of what you've made of the pre-season campaign.
Obviously, the thing about pre-season, when you play your first game, you're running and probably 60, 70%. By the time you get to your last 2 games, you should be up at the 80s, 90s, 100% ready, match fit, ready to go. And the games against Folkestone, the games against Dover, they're games that you can kind of just write off and go, look, all you were trying to do is try your tactics out, get your players fit, get them to learn each other. And we all knew the 2 tests were going to be against, obviously, Pompey and Palace. And if you forget everything else, if you forget all the other games and just concentrate on those 2 games, because Pompey brought down, pretty much a full strength team. A Palace obviously brought down some really, really good players as well. And if you look how we played against them, we showed no fear. We got the ball on the floor. We were passing it around. the movement off the ball by those games, it was so much sharper. Everyone was starting to learn each other. And eventually, the season comes around, we'll kick off. But out of all of those games, we've seen what Neil Harris is going to try and achieve this season, and that is getting Gillingham Football Club playing football and not playing hoofball.
I completely agree. Good evening. I understand you've been having some internet problems this evening, but how are you, buddy?
Yeah, not bad. Just having a big scrap with the rotor, but we got there.
Excellent. Okay, you haven't missed much, in fairness. We've just come on to talking about your review of pre-season. Give us your review then.
I suppose you're going to click in two ways. In terms of results, not that impressive. I think it's a lot more in the bigger picture. I actually spent a couple of hours yesterday having a look at some of the pre-season fixtures that a lot of other clubs in this league have done. I think one that struck me quite quickly was Doncaster. I think other than Rotherham, they've been playing teams who are quite below them. A lot of them have been non-league. So it's interesting to see whether some managers look at it as we'll play some teams below us just to get that winning mentality and get used to, putting the ball back in the back of the net and getting wins, and whether teams look like ourselves, in my opinion, have gone and looked at games and thought, well, we're going to get some fixtures here. We might not win, but it's going to give us a real test to see what we're about. And I think that's what we've got, specifically in the Portsmouth and Crystal Palace games. Obviously, I'd expect Luton too, but obviously we didn't see any of that. But we only lost 2-1 bold accounts. Probably was a decent performance. But I think in general, I think it's been a positive pre-season. I think we've thankfully come out of it with no injuries, barring O'Keefe. But from what I understand, that's only going to be a temporary one. I don't think he'll make Saturday, but I think after that he should be fine. So thankfully, there's nothing long term with that. But I think we've been able to see, a lot of players in the new role. We'll see how impressive they can be, what they can offer. We've had 2 trialists who have come and joined us permanently in Shea Alexander and Jordan Green, respectively. Jordan Green was one that I think after watched him at Folkestone James, I think we were pretty sold on the idea just from that game, even though it was against whatever tier side Folkestone are. But I think he showed, especially in the games at Priestfield, that he isn't just a non-league Nigel, as some like to put it. He definitely has the ability about him. I thought from watching us against Crystal Palace, I thought in the second half he was fantastic. You need to look at the 2 goals he scored, his direct involvement in both of them. Maybe slightly lucky penalty, I suppose, for the second one, but the fact he managed to spin away from 2 Crystal Palace players in the build up to that and then draw the foul, I suppose, from MacArthur shows that good intelligence as a wide player to get into those positions to make things happen. I think other players have definitely stood up and looked like they're going to be important for us. And Sean Williams is not going to be someone that you're going to notice every game, but given his role, that's probably the biggest compliment you can pay to him if you're not noticing he's there, because he's just letting the game go through him and doing what he can to keep us flowing, keep us doing well and keep us on the front foot. And I think, we all know we need another striker. We've only seen Mandron for the 2 games now. Well, actually, he played against Portsmouth, didn't he? So 3 games. Don't think he's played 90 minutes, neither of them, though. So obviously, we all know what Mika's about from before, so he's a good option to have. I think we obviously need to do some business before we get into Saturday, so hopefully that'll be something that's on the agenda for the rest of the week. But I think overall pre-season has been an impressive one. As I said, the main thing for me for pre-season is you don't want to, come out of it with 1 or 2 players and niggles before the first game and disrupt your whole plans, or knowing our luck, we'd pay a fee for a player for the first time in years and he'd do his ACL in the first 10 minutes. Although saying all of that, I have just remembered mainly actually made our Brewers injury, so just forget everything I just said.
I mean, I will say, obviously, yes, you don't want your players getting injuries. Obviously, it can happen at any time of the season, but this is probably one of the, touch wood, one of the smoothest, pre-seasons I've seen from Gills for a while. There's not as, I know last year, obviously, we had COVID and, there's always been sort of something, players got injured, or it's one of the smoothest I've seen I can remember for a while. It's only been real niggly injuries apart from the Ashley Maynard Brewer one.
Yeah, that's true. Who would you? I think Owen has alluded to who his standout has been this pre-season, standout player wise. Matt, who would your standout player been wise? Who have you been most impressed with so far?
Jordan Green is probably the one that has impressed me the most. Obviously, I hadn't learnt much about him before he came to the club. Obviously, I understood that he was a lot higher team when he was younger, and he fell out of love for the game and dropped down. And he's obviously reconnected, so that's great to see. But probably, I wouldn't say it's one of the new signings, but Joe. I always going to say his name wrong. Jabode, he has really impressed me. For what was it, 18, 19 years old, 17 is it? I mean, he has really impressed me. Impressed me enough that I think if I was Neil Harris, I'd be saying, you're going to be part of my first team squad this year. I'm not saying he's going to play. I'm not saying he's going to come on as a sub even. He might just sit on the bench all year, but he's really, really impressed me. I thought he put the Palace defence under a lot of pressure when he came on. Same against Pompey. He's probably been my standout actually. Him and Jordan Green.
Okay, interesting. Joe Gabode is definitely one that a few Jules fans his name is on their lips. Owen, is he quite ready? Is Joe Gabode quite ready for the Jules first team squad just yet?
I don't think so, personally. I think he's got a lot of talent and a lot of potential. I think he will be a part of the squad next season. I think maybe it's a bit too soon. As much as I've been impressed with him, it is only 2 pre-season games. You don't want to... I'm sure Harris is aware of that as well. You know what young players are like in any capacity. As soon as they get praise in the media from the manager, the ego inflates and they think potentially it's a bit... And you can be in the danger of doing too much too soon. Personally, what I do with Joe is the same what I do with Matty McArthur, who's another young player who's impressed me this pre-season. I'd look to get them out on loan, a short-term loan until January. Gabode, especially, maybe McArthur for a season. But I think we can get them on loan to a decent level. And I'm not talking when we were in League One and we used to send players to teams miles below us in the pyramid. And, it's basically where
Margates and Lordswoods and Chatham Downs,
where we were sending players to basically where they came from in the first place, and they were scoring goals for fun, and it's not giving a challenge or proving anything. It turned out to be pretty pointless. I like that we sent Henry Woods to Dover. I thought that was a good move in the conference, so 2 divisions below us at the time. I think someone like McArthur and Gabode, I'd be looking maybe Dover again, to be honest, because they've gone down to National South now, haven't they? So they're one below. I think that could be a good move. Harris has been very keen to talk about building relationships with local clubs. Obviously, Hess and Tyler being there is a good thing, good manager to learn from. I think I'll be looking to get maybe both of them, maybe not both to Dover, but similar sort of teams around that area. Maybe a Welling, I think, unless they're not in that division. I'm not really sure. Dartford, I think, are in that division, aren't they, James? So maybe teams like that. And then, McArthur, as I say, I'll probably be looking at a whole season long. Gabode, I think, because he's a strong one of them where if he goes on until January, we sort of look at where we are at the time and what we're potentially had a good season so far. And I suppose it would be pretty low risk to put him in and just see, because if he goes to the National League South and scores a good amount of goals in the first half of the season, and we're flirting with the playoffs around that point, I wouldn't see any danger in taking him back and just keeping him around the squad, getting him a few minutes here and there, and see if he can be an asset to us in the last half of the season.
Okay, interesting. Remember, guys, you can send in your comments throughout tonight's show, and they will get shown on the screen. Matt, Dean's comment is not going to make you happy when it decides to load and show on the screen. It will take a little bit of time when it does load up.
So I can see it on here. Green definitely was a non-league Nigel on Saturday. He just kept falling over. Maybe a one-off, maybe a sign of what's to come.
Yeah, there you go. So, that suggests to me that he doesn't agree with what you've said, does he?
Look, this is what I love about football and football chat. Everyone has their own opinion. Everyone can be right and everyone can be wrong. I will say I've seen some people saying that Jules could potentially end up at 17th in the league this season. I think they're totally wrong. Everyone has something to say, but look, I thought Green played well on Saturday. You say he just kept falling over. I don't think it was necessarily falling over. I think it was maybe just losing his footing. But look, I think this guy could be, really, really decent for us, get us up the league, get some great runs into the box. I think we've been missing, getting some excitement at Policefield, especially, when we pack out the Raynham end, I think he'll get them all on their feet.
Yeah, that's true. And then Giuseppe, if you can see that one as well. Yeah, really looking forward to watching Green over the season. Friendlies mean nothing. Be interested with Gillingham. Get another keeper to fight with Turner as well. The style looks better than last season's dross. That's been something that has really come out of this season, hasn't it? Is that the complete style that Neil Harris has transformed over the past 6 weeks that he's had the group. He's the whole philosophy and the way we play football is completely different to what we've seen not only this preseason but over a number of years. We've not really seen a Gillingham side play this sort of expansive football. My question is, Owen, I'll put it to you first: can that type of football, work in League Two and be effective?
Yeah, of course it can. It can work in any division. I think it might take a little while for us to fully adjust to it and acclimatise to how to do it properly. And Harris said himself after Southend that there are going to be times where, because he's so keen on playing that way, where we are going to potentially see goals, because it's all about learning curve and getting used to how to play it. We don't have centre backs in the past who necessarily got the ball and that used to having it on the floor. Like Jack Tucker's now going to go and play that sort of style at MK. They play a lot out of the back. Amers, as we know, is more just hoof and hope. Let's see what happens. I obviously don't know anything about Baggett from what he's doing at Ipswich, but obviously they're a lot more of a possession-based side than we are. So maybe he played that way. I think he only did play 2 games from them, but maybe those 2 games he played it around the back. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's definitely something that we need to see. I think everyone was growing tired of the aimless lump to Oliver and then see what happens. It's definitely an exciting way of playing. I think a lot of us want to see quick passing, quick movement, and obviously players like Green and Lee can come to the fore and that sort of thing. In terms of can you play it in League Two, I definitely think you can. You look at teams like Mansfield and Northampton last season, albeit they didn't go up, Bristol Rovers as well, who don't have that conventional big man up top and just played nice diagonals, nice triangle passes. Game was basically based on movement and getting into good positions. I think that's definitely a way of playing. I think I'd actually argue there's probably more teams in League Two who have acclimatised to playing that way more than just those who hit and hope in the air. I think an interesting one will probably be Bradford City, actually, considering they've got Dane Oliver now, because they're generally quite a well possessive on the floor side, but now they have Oliver. It'll be see how they play with him, whether is him being there is going to cause them more to go long all the time, because I don't think he's actually that good with the ball to feet. But I think it's definitely one that can excite us. I think we will have times where we get caught on the ball when we try and do it, just because that's just natural. It happens to any team at any level, and it will happen to us as well at some point. But I'm excited to see us play that new way, and hopefully it can, in a longer span of time, to prove out to be a good decision.
Yeah, very true. Matt, what's been your thoughts of the complete change of style and play that Neil Harris has introduced?
I always say you've got to play to your strengths, and we do have some look at Lee, for instance, this season, playing him in that 10 role. He's been a revelation. His energy seems to have come back, and he's good on his feet. Football isn't just about hoofing the ball up to your top man and hoping to get a knockdown or run on and a goal. But yeah, that sometimes it does work. But football is about playing the ball around on the ground, making movements, making space, and that's what this team seems to be doing. I feel, I've seen a couple of times I've been able to, catch glimpses of the players, chatting to each other, and there seems to be a sort of a real nice bond there as well, which is great. I feel once we, as a unit, kind of get there, this style of football is absolutely going to be perfect for this league. We'll be able to play it around, keep the ball on the ground, let them do the chasing, look for those gaps, and exploit them. And I do think with players like Mandron up front, he'll score a goal with his head. He can score goals with his feet. So if we need to go long, we can, but just as much he'll be happy to receive the ball at his feet, maybe knock it back for Lee, to create that space. I really think this style of football for us is going to work really well this year. And I've said it, countless times. I think we are a top 10 team this year, and I think if we can get this style of play working, and if we can cut out some of the little silly mistakes which will happen, but try and limit them, that top 10 finish could become a top 5, a top 3, a top 2, and who knows, maybe in 10 years' time, Premier League champions.
Owen, obviously we rounded off pre-season on Saturday after beating Southend 1-0. We all know that regardless of what division Southend are in, it's always a tough place to go. It's a tight pitch, Roots Hall. They certainly get behind their fans down there. But it seemed like, we all didn't go to the game, but it seemed like from the comments that come out of the game that after 20 minutes of Southend effectively making us do the work, we kind of stepped out the first gear and we started playing and we took full control of the game.
Yeah, it seemed that way. I think we didn't start particularly well, as according to Neil Harris, but I think it's one of those games where it's probably the closest you get to what we're going to be expecting next year. Again, possibly Portsmouth, I suppose you can argue with that because they'd already played them last year. But yeah, Southend, obviously, they've been through it in the last couple of years and now find themselves in the National League. But on paper, they're one of the bigger sides in that division and one you'd expect to go, challenge to go up. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult in the National League. Get down there, it's really difficult to get back out again. I don't think they're particularly that good, in all honesty. But, I think it was a good game to have. I think that's what I mentioned earlier about the pre-season and who we chose to play. I think it was very clever to have a big challenge like Crystal Palace, a team who are miles out of the league, to then go and play your last game against someone whose patterns of play and the way they implement their style on us is going to be quite similar to a lot of the teams we're going to be playing in the league this year. So it sort of gives a nice little taste of what to expect. I think, the main takeaway from that, as Harris was saying, was because he wanted to win the game. He said every other pre-season was just about, fitness and learning new things. But this one was one he wanted to win because it breeds that winning mentality before the first game. Obviously, Mika got his goal, a pretty easy one by all accounts, but they still all count, don't they? So that's another positive. Obviously, we kept the clean sheet. It just sounded like the first 20 minutes we weren't really at it, but after that we seemed to take control of the game and look the better team. By all accounts, Cash getting a much better game. He's someone that I've been looking to see more from. Hit the post in the first half, got the assists in the second half of Mandron's goal, so that's a good positive to have. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the team that started that game will be the ones who start on Saturday at Plough Lane as well. But yeah, good way to end it.
I've got to say, I did like the fact that he didn't just, again at half time change it all and, bring on, 11 new players or anything like that. I like the fact that he actually treated it like a proper match. The players treated it, I felt like almost like a league match. They had that mentality about them. And yeah, obviously that first 20 minutes was, by all accounts, quite poor. But Harris has said something, he's done something, they've changed, they've stepped up and they started to play some really good football from all the reports and that I've read. They seem to play some absolutely brilliant football. Yeah,
excellent. And Owen, I fully agree with you about the clever way Harris has implemented the games. And typically really certainly that Southend one are similar opponents to what we're going to be playing on Saturday against Wimbledon, which moves me nicely on to our first season preview comes this Saturday then, as we travel to technically the AFC Wimbledon fans call it Plough Lane, but it is the Cherry Red Record Stadium if you want to call it officially, but we all know it is Plough Lane, as the Gills take on AFC Wimbledon for the first League 2 game of the season. Owen, we'll come to you first, buddy. Just give us your thoughts ahead of the opening game.
Well, the first thought is dread because Wimbledon have won a game this whole 22 calendar year. Whenever you need a favour, who'd you come and call? That'd be us. It's difficult because Wimbledon are quite a difficult team to actually pin down, really, because as bad as they were last year, they're still one of those sides. I suppose it's just the reputation they've had in the last few years of League One, where they've been terrible for 80% of the season, but always managed to find a way out of it. Obviously, it didn't happen this time around, but I think they're going to be one of those teams this year. I think they'll be probably mid-table, if not a bit lower. I think Johnny Jackson's a good manager. I don't think even in League Two he's an elite manager, if you like. I think he, when he came into Charlton, he had that little upturn in form, but then their form dropped dramatically, and then obviously he ended up getting the boot. I think a couple of their signings, Jason Pearce is someone I would have taken. Gills, Chris Guttner, probably not. Carl Hudlin's another one who, to be honest, from watching quite a few National League games, I think he is just quite tall. I think that's basically more or less it with him. I don't think there's actually much player in there. I've seen I've listened to some podcasts from League Two fans talking about the season in general. A lot of them seem to go along with that, where he's probably not the best footballer, but obviously the danger is if that cross goes into your box and is anywhere near him, you're not going to get the first contact on it, are you? Unless you've got a hell of a jump on you. But yeah, I think it's one of them where it's two teams who ended the season quite badly. They're obviously coming off the hangover of being relegated. They're both going to have points to prove. I prefer to be away, to be honest, because all the pressure is going to be on them in front of their home fans to firstly win a game this year, and secondly to start righting the wrongs of last year, and that would start by getting a good result at home for them. I think it's probably one of them where I wouldn't mind if we drew, because I think we've got a couple of favourable fixtures after. I think Rochdale at home will be one where we'll win. I think Harrogate's the one after that, and I think they're two good games to have back to back at home. But obviously, I want to go there and win. I think we are capable of doing it. Obviously, it depends. Maybe if we get some more players, and this week we'll have a more bigger idea of what we can expect. But they do still have some decent players. Wimbledon, Alex Woodyard's still there. I know they lost Jack Radoni, didn't they? Part of a deal for Hudlin to go there on loan from Huddersfield. They've still got Asal. Luke McCormick's still there. I think he was injured in the last pre-season game though, so that might be a bit of help, but he'll probably be back by then anyway. Gunter and Pearce bring loads of experience. Will Nightingale's a good player in the back as well, but I think it's one of them where as long as we go there and implement our style and get on the front foot early, I think we have a pretty good chance of winning the game. But I've been saying for the past few weeks, I think it's nailed on to be 0-0, so I'm going to stick with that. But obviously, I do feel capable of going there and winning. And hopefully, that's what happens.
Matt, give us your thoughts ahead of the opener.
Right, yeah. Well, I went to Plough Lane last year to see the Gills play in that memorable 2-2 draw. I'm actually kind of glad we're playing them the start of the season, getting it over with. I think you're right. We could almost, both teams will have a slight hangover from getting relegated last year. I looked at obviously the business AFC Wimbledon have done. I've looked at the business we've done. I think both teams need a couple more players through the door. Us definitely. I think hopefully by Friday we'll have 2 or 3 more names on the team sheet. Maybe another goalkeeper and another striker. But I am getting pretty excited for it. I think it's the best place to go to Plough Lane away from home, first game of the season. Don't sit off of them. That's the one thing we cannot do. We cannot sit off of them and let them come at us. We did that last year and they scored 2 goals. Every time we went at them, we put them under pressure, and the fans, if we start putting their team under pressure, their fans will not enjoy it. I'm not going to say they turn on them, but such. But their mood will drop, and I think we can take advantage of that. And I think this is a chance for us to make a statement. Like I say, there have been people out there that are saying, Gills are going to finish 10th, 11th, 12th, 17th. This is our chance to go out there and prove them wrong. And I think it's the perfect place to do it. Plough Lane, AFC Wimbledon, a team we know. We played them a couple of times last year. We know them. But we can go out there, and if we just put our foot to the floor, and as soon as that whistle goes, and don't let them have any breathing space, I think we can come out comfortable winners. And I'm going to say it, Mikkel Mandron to score a hat-trick.
Oh, wow. You are confident. Owen, obviously, we still haven't added anybody since obviously not last week before. I think we're going into our second week without signings. I think I might be correct. What's that?
Law was last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, Ryan Law. Yeah, correct me. Yeah. So, yeah, we're obviously going into the week of the season. I know it's only Monday, but you would have expected some sort of activity today. Should we be concerned if we don't add any more before Saturday?
A little bit. I think we're going to be probably signing a goalkeeper this week, which I know is not the most exciting thing that people hear.
Yeah.
The thing is that Harris he's said recently that some of his long-term targets have now become available, and he's been patient for so long this summer. If he has to be patient for another week or two just to get it done, and so be it. And I think that's just a case of potentially we're going to reap the rewards of being so patient. I don't know who those long-term targets are. I imagine one is Aaron Pierre. I wouldn't have thought one would be Paul McCallum anymore, but yeah, we definitely need another striker. One I'm hoping Isaac Oliafi is on the radar. That'd be nice. I think he's someone I'd really like us to get in. And Pierre, as I've said for many weeks, James is the big one for me. He's someone that I really, really want in that back line. I think he'd make a huge difference, and I think he'd make our defence man for man very good. I think it's especially good when you've got the versatile options now with Will Wright, who can play as a fullback as well. But I think to be honest, if we look at it from what Harris is saying, he said he wants 3 outfield players. I see that as probably a striker, a centre half, and a winger. I don't think he's potentially a midfielder, but I think at the same time, if we don't get anyone in this week, Harris won't use that as an excuse. He knows what he's got. He's been working with it for the past few weeks, and that team I still think is capable of going to Wimbledon on Saturday and getting a result without adding anyone to it before that. And then hopefully, we've still got a lot of time in a window. We've still got some loans to use as well. So, I don't think I'd be particularly worried going into that game if we haven't signed anyone yet. Obviously, I'm hoping we can get a couple over the line just to give us a bit of an extra boost before the game.
Okay, Matt. What would be your starting 11 on Saturday if you're Neil Harris?
So it's a tough one with the goalkeeper. I'm not too sure who I'd have in goal. I mean, it's hard to say. At the moment, I can't pick. Okay. I'm not too sure. Would I start, Lee? Would I start Reeves? Would I, obviously Manjon will start up front. I mean, it seems like he's obviously going to be playing something like a 4-2-3-1, maybe going forward, and maybe sort of like a 4-4-1-1 in defence. That's kind of what I almost imagine him playing. How and who he picks. I mean, there are definitely starters. I think Baggett will be a definite starter. Sean Williams will be a definite starter. Even if O'Keefe is fit enough, I think he'd only be maybe go onto the bench and would get the Jeff Yett to maybe start alongside him. Failing that, every place is up for grabs. Every player has got 4 days now to show the manager I should be starting this first game.
Yeah.
But obviously we've got to wait to see who else comes in this week. I've got a feeling we'll have 2 or 3 by Friday, whether they are just loans or permanents. I've got a feeling, there'll be a couple done before then. One definitely is right, definitely being a goalkeeper. And then, maybe hopefully a forward. But if not, I'm happy to put Joe Gamode on the bench and keep him as a backup for Mandron. It's hard to out of the 18 or 19 players we've got at the moment. It is, I think, quite hard for me to pick a starting 11 because I still don't know all the players 100%. If that makes it, I don't know what they're capable of. What do they thrive under this kind of pressure? I would say it's quite hard for me to. There's apart from the goalkeeper Mandron and Sean Williams, I'd say probably most of them are still up for grabs.
Okay. Owen, who would you go for your starting 11? For me, in my head, the team picks itself.
Same for me to an extent. Whether Keith's going to be available or not, I'm going to base it on the fact that he might not. I'd go with Turner in goal. Sadly, Darren Ibrahim isn't getting the call up from coaching role again, but I'm sure he'll be on the bench in case we need. Right back, I go Shea Alexander. Then 2 in the middle of Max Amer and Will Wright. I like Will a lot as a centre back. I haven't actually seen him play right back yet. I think he played against Crystal Palace. I can't really remember, but I did like him a lot as a centre back. One of them, I think that's aiming at him. Then Ryan Law at left back. And there are two in midfield of Dom Jeffries and Sean Williams. But I would start O'Keefe over Jeffries if he's fit, but I don't think he will be. And then Lee is the 10 wide players of Jordan Green, Scott Cashgett, and then Mika Mandron through the middle.
Yeah. I think we are in agreement of the starting lineup. I think it does pick itself.
My only worry would be who do we have to come on that's going to give you that.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Is that you look at the bench, and I guess senior player wise, you're looking at Alexander 1, Reeves 2, McDonald 3, and then I guess either Jeffries or O'Keefe, whoever starts in there, is the 4, and then you have the one youngster. How many subs can we have? Can we have
5?
7.
We can have 5. Can we? Is it 7? Can we?
5, I think.
Yeah, we can make 5 3 times.
Yeah. So I guess then after that you have the goalkeeper and then I guess the other two are youngsters and then at the moment the 2 youngsters are probably Matty MacArthur and Jacob Ode. So I guess then in hindsight, in looking at that, the squad isn't overly that bad, is it? In terms of depth.
No, it's a shame McDonald's not fully fit yet because I probably would lean to starting him over one of Cashgett and Green and having that option of an explosive winger to come off. But given he's only played half an hour here and there, I'll be very surprised if Alex McDonald was thrown in from the start. But when he is fully fit, that might be an extra option to have as well.
I think once he's back to full fitness, I think McDonald will be probably the one of the first names on the team sheet. If he can keep his fitness up, we all know how good of a player he is. And obviously the injury last year was so unfortunate for him. But if he can get himself back fit, I do generally think players like him and O'Keefe and Williams are going to be the first names on the team sheet pretty much every week if they're fit and able to play.
Okay. Last thing, just to wrap it off. Then it's been a wonderful show. We've gone for nearly 40 minutes now. Excellent show. Let's get your predictions then. Owen, I think I know what you're going to go for.
0-0.
Straight 0-0. Matt, go on in.
Right. The optimist in me will say we're going to win 3-0, but the realist in me thinks it's going to be 1-0, maybe 2-1 to Gills.
Okay, to the Gills. Okay, so we've got a draw and a win for the Gills. Let's see then as Neil Harris takes his Gillingham side to Plough Lane for the 2022-2023 League 2 season this coming Saturday. We are also bringing our fan cams back, so we will be outside Plough Lane doing our fan cams after the Gills on Saturday. So if you wish to come on for our first fan cam ahead after the first game, feel free to give us a contact. Keep liking, subscribing, retweeting the ME7 podcast. We are nearly at 500 followers already on our Twitter, which is brilliant. Over 100 subscribers on our YouTube as well. So we are growing at a rapid pace. Let's hope we are all aboard the Neil Harris promotion train as well ahead of the new season. But tonight you've been watching the ME7 podcast, episode 15. As always, up the Gills. Good night.